It was DJ that picked up the slack and helped send TCU packing in the first round of the NCAA tournament, making the round of 32. We'll check in with social media for fan reactions, and Syracuse will play 3-seed Michigan State on Sunday, March 18th at 2:40. Joe will let us know what to expect in that game. Let's go.
Make some noise, Orange fans. It's time for the Cuse Nation Podcast with Sean and Joe. Give us a like on Facebook at facebook.com/Cuse Nation Podcast.
All right, what's up, Cuse Nation? Thanks for tuning in to the Cuse Nation Podcast with Sean and Joe. If you like it, please share it. We appreciate that. All right. Hey, the Orange advance. Holding off TCU to advance to the round of 32 in front of a mostly empty Little Caesars Arena in Detroit. I never even saw a number, but the seats were sparse. Everybody left after the Michigan State game. It's basically a home game for them. So our big three with only 27 combined, but Mark stepped up to lead the team with 17. He was 8 for 13 from the floor and 100% from three. He eventually followed out with a whopping 6:11 remaining in the game and was replaced by Moyer. I thought that could have been the dagger, but they just made enough plays to stay in there and hold off for a win. So Brissett followed up with 13. He was 4 for 6 from the field, 0 for 3 from behind the arc, and 5 for 6 from the free throw line. He was only one rebound away from his 13th double-double of the season. Battle was all but shut down with 7 points. He shot 25% from the field and 16.6 from three, and he never got to the line. Howard with 7 as well, 5 rebounds, 2 steals. TCU was 35.5% from the field, and that Kenrich Williams led the team with 14 points. We'll talk about him later. Both teams struggled from deep. The Horned Frogs were 17.6 from three to Syracuse's 21.4. And finally, Syracuse out-rebounded TCU 37-34, 12 of those offensive. Joe? Syracuse would have been, no doubt, in deep trouble without Dolerzai putting in probably his best minutes of the year. The big three, as we mentioned, they only combined for 27. He scored 17. But TCU averages, again, like Arizona State, about 83 points a game, and they're 19th in the country. The 56 points was the lowest they scored all season. We did the same thing to Arizona State. Another fantastic defensive game for SU.
Yeah, I thought they were a little bit better this time around than last game. But, again, very similar. The reason why we won, and obviously that in Merrick. I don't remember a game this year where one of our big three didn't lead the game in scoring. So this might have been the first one. And without him, I mean, we would have been gone. We would have been toast, man. So,
yeah, he scored. What, 14 of them, or was it 14 of them, or 13 of them in the first half?
Yeah.
So. Yeah.
He definitely stepped up and did what he had to do. Again, we knew it was going to be ugly. That's kind of the only way that we can beat teams that are, similar to us in talent or better, and that's what we have to do. I would have liked to have seen Howard and Battle be able to get to the line and be able to try to get to the hoop a little bit better, but it didn't work out that way. And, you saw it. We were looking good in the beginning. We jumped up to, 7 or 8 point lead, and they went on a run there. I think they scored 8 points in the first half of us just either fast break or us not getting back on defense. But when we had the defense set and we were playing, they just couldn't do anything other than those couple fast. Take away the fast break points or the points they got when we weren't set on defense and some of the putbacks that they had off of offensive rebounds. You take that stuff away, their actual success in running a half court offense against us was pretty bad. So
it was a good offensive team too.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? And they shot 35 or 39.5% from the field, 17 from three, and they only hit 65.7% of their free throws.
Right. And again, a lot of this stuff, and that's the one thing when it comes to numbers, it's always skewed, even when it comes to teams getting in the tournament and like this kind of stuff, is it all really depends on who you play against. So
yeah, absolutely.
and traditionally in the Big 12, there's not great defensive teams. A lot of it's just, there's a lot of good offense and stuff like that. So sometimes those numbers just get kind of, skewed and because of just the type of teams they're playing against. But I mean, with our defense playing like that and grinding it out, that's how we're going to win, man. Just how it's going to have to happen.
Yeah, and it's the same story, different game, and you
use your strengths to your advantage, you
got to start right, exactly. And
you got to try to find a way to win, even if it's ugly.
Even if it's ugly, and it was really ugly. I don't know if Merrick can play his best game. He can top this game against Michigan State if Howard, Brissett, and Battle aren't going to play a little bit better. It's not going to matter.
No,
it's not going to matter. At some point,
no, it's not.
They got to step up. Tyus hasn't stepped up yet. So maybe
not yet.
Not yet.
O'Shea's stepped up and Merrick stepped up.
Yeah, and that's it. And I mean, they were clear cut. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and Frank Howard's had a rough go at it. You want to blame the sickness, but who knows? And again, with us playing our minutes, and this is going to be our 5th game in 3 days, so you just never know. But again, with this one, that's how we got to make it. We got to make it ugly, play to our pace, and we did. Went to the free throw line and knocked down a better percentage, and we got we out rebounded them just like we know we always have to do. They had 13 turnovers to our 7, so
yeah,
all those little stats that we always talk about, we control the pace, and we got those little stats that we always talk about. Sometimes if teams aren't on, then even when we got guys like Battle and Howard only putting up 7, sometimes we're still in it at the end of the game, and then it's just making the plays at the end of the game, which we did again.
Yeah, and I with 6:11 remaining and Mark falls out.
Ooh.
And I'm thinking, oh, we're toast.
Especially
toast.
what Moyer showed us the first time he came in earlier.
I know, holy cow, he was just awful. So
that was awful.
But he was. I mean, there's no other way around it. I mean, let's just be honest. But he held it together. He gave an extra 6 minutes. Because he was only in for a minute the first time, and he held it together, and they came away with it. He didn't do anything fancy. He didn't do anything fascinating. He hit 1 free throw.
1 out of 3, and he was disruptive on the defense a lot. Yeah, he was. He was in people's faces, and you got to do what you can do, to get by. One thing I'm really, really worried about is Chukwu got slower and slower, and you can't help but wonder. We need to change his batteries.
Yeah, no kidding.
It's about time.
No kidding.
I was worried about this game when we talked about it. Remember, because, like you said, Williams, he was second team Big 12, and the other guy there, Radzianski, 6'11" guy who could score around the basket. So I was nervous from what I talked about, and that was kind of why I didn't have a good feeling coming into it, because I wasn't really worried about us them making a ridiculous amount of threes, because I knew we could go out and guard them like we did with Arizona State. I was worried about them being able to score down low too. So
yeah, that's what you mentioned, the big guys. You were worried about that.
Yeah, but I mean, our defensive guys down low, they held it together, and for the first time in a long time, I don't really have any beef with the refs. They let them play just enough. It didn't get out of control, and there was a lot of ticky-tack stuff. So
no, there's a couple that could have went.
There's always going to be a couple.
Yeah. Well, I'm saying for us in particular, there was a couple I was surprised there wasn't a whistle.
Oh, yeah.
Against us is what I'm saying. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, they let them play. And I think that's how tournament play. I mean, these guys are in a tournament. They're fighting for a championship. If you're going to blow the whistle every 5 seconds and not let these teams get in a rhythm, I mean, first of all, it does a disservice to the people watching the game.
Oh yeah.
You're drawing it out and you're blowing whistles all the time and you're not letting them play.
She's seen the NC State Seton Hall, right?
Yeah, exactly.
I was talking to one of my buddies at work. He said there's 53 fouls called in that game.
Holy cow, that is crazy.
Yeah. Up to that point, the other highest total, the next highest total was like 38 in an NCAA game.
There's got to be in tournament play. I know that each group of refs kind of they have their own style of calling, and there's got to be some more some blanket rules.
To put that in perspective,
Yeah.
there was 34 personal fouls called last night in our game. So you're talking about, imagine if there's watching a game like ours with another 19 fouls called.
19 fouls. Jeez.
Crazy, right?
Yeah, I know.
Or sorry, 19. Yep.
So, anyway, all right, I think we can agree, Joe. Mark gets the player of the game. Did you happen to see Did you happen to see him put the advancement on the board? Did you watch that video?
Yeah. He's,
he started Mark. I love this guy.
I know he's not going to school for engineering. I know that. So
I love this guy, man. He tries to put it on upside down. They stop him, so he flips it over and he tries sticking it up right side up. But he didn't peel the back of it.
Take the back paper off. Yeah.
Didn't take the paper off the sticker. Just great, man. He was ecstatic, and there's a great interview with him too after the game in the locker room. And
I think he's just blasphemous. Like, I think he just doesn't really even understand. He's just
he doesn't.
He's strolling around. He's strolling along.
He knows how to play basketball, but he doesn't get it. A lot of it, he's like, you got to watch his interview. It's great. And how could you not love this guy? He is such a likable kid. And
it's like he doesn't even know any better to be nervous at this point.
No, he doesn't. He doesn't know. It's so great.
Yeah.
It's so great. And that's what helped him out last night. You know what I mean?
Got to play like that.
Exactly. And there's been so many times where we've talked about Mark, looking at the rim and not taking the shot when he's wide open. And he's really since tournament play, even in the ACC tournament a little bit, he started to turn away from that and actually, grab a hold of the reins. Someone
lit a fire under his butt. That's for sure.
Yeah, and you can't praise him enough. His best game of the year by far. I think he scored more points in the game here recently, but that was his best. All right, Joe, give me your grade. Great.
I'll give him a grade a little bit better. There was a better team. I thought overall defense for the whole game was better. So I would probably have to go A-. Offense was close to, but with Merrick, I probably would have gave it close to the same one, B+ like Arizona State. But just with Merrick being able to pick up the slack and us being able to still score right around 60, 57, whatever. So give him an A-.
Yeah, I gave him an A- too. I thought it was really. I know that TCU's better, but it was like the Arizona State game, but it wasn't as. I wasn't as nervous at the end. Was a little more cushion there. So, A- for them. All right. The game against TCU was just the second game this season where Battle scored fewer than 10 points. TCU is still winless in the NCAA tournament since 1987, and this was the school's first appearance in 20 years. All right, go to facebook.com/Cuse Nation Podcast or at Cuse Nation Show on Twitter. All right, after the win, it's always fun to go through and try to figure out what the hell everybody's thinking. Mostly the same thing. But let's see. At Cuse Orange, okay, Moyer, we need you to play solid and not do anything stupid. That was right.
What was that, during the game?
That was right after Mark fouled out.
No. Boy.
Yeah. Well, I think everybody sees it, and I think a lot of it is a lack of confidence with Moyer too, and he gets reamed a lot, and I think he's nervous about being reamed, and it affects him big time. Tell me what you want me to tweet, says LMAO. I love you all with these tweets. I'm just drinking and repping. You Fs. Syracuse won. America's pissed. No Fs given.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. All right.
You got a songwriter.
Gary says Sunday, Michigan State do Central New York a favor and whip sorry excuse a favor, so they won't be mentioned till next year. Gary, do you English, bro? Do you English?
I don't think he does. I think he was trying to rhyme on purpose.
I don't know what the hell this guy is talking about. But anyway, moving on. Haley, we're the ones that said Syracuse didn't belong. Oh, where are the ones, I think is what she means. Where are the ones that said Syracuse didn't belong in March Madness tournament now, LOL? Exactly. Well, they're still out there. Like, I don't know, Gary. spewing his nonsense. Kevin says, going to have to find some more offense against MSU, but the defense is clicking. Go Orange. Yeah. I mean,
pretty much.
It changes the game completely because these guys, these Arizona State and TCU aren't used to seeing the zone, and we are a little worried about Jamie Dixon, Joe, being that he's crushed us a couple times in the zone. He knows how to coach it, but
the players still need to see it, man.
You got to see it. That's right.
Yeah, and that's just one of those things. It's been all year. Our defense, for the most part, other than a few games here and there, have played good enough for us to win every single game. It's been whether or not we can score enough points. And eventually, when you play this many close games, you do lose some. So.
Oh, yeah, there's no way around it. It's just going to happen. But the defense, keeping them chugging along. Carrie says, tell me they don't belong. Get the hell out of here. You guys are amazing. Forget that outside Forget that outside noise. Exactly. And the players, they know well enough not to pay attention to that crap.
No, yeah. They don't care anyway.
Yeah, they don't care. At Orange Skin says, Syracuse is now in Gottlieb and Lenardi's heads. Hopefully this will continue because it's hilarious. That's true. It absolutely is hilarious. The way I've got to hand it to the hashtag Cuse Twitter army for ripping Doug Gottlieb at every chance they get. They are all over it. You got to give them credit.
Yeah, they are. They are. He's trolling them though.
Oh yeah, he is.
The thing with him though is he's a radio host and a personality like that. I'm worried about Lenardi. I'm not a huge fan of him, obviously, but this whole Syracuse, I just hope this whole Syracuse business doesn't either A, get him fired, or B, put him into a midlife crisis because his last 3 years, he's been killing him.
I know. It's been terrible. And it's been his Achilles heel, every March. And the one thing about Lenardi, though, that I would say, Doug Gottlieb's a douchebag. Like, he's just a total douchebag. And I don't like the guy. I just really don't. I don't like the way he rubs me the wrong way. I think he's cocky.
Harsh words, man.
I can't stand listening to him.
Don't let him rub you then.
Lenardi, on the other hand, though, he's fine. He's harmless. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So, he has his moments, but it's whatever. At Lomi Hughes fan says, welcome to Air Slovakia. Electronic devices can now be used. Drinks will be served shortly because Syracuse. At Cuse Mafia, people will remember this Syracuse team as one that overachieved regardless of what happens tomorrow. People will remember this UVA squad as the greatest flop in the history of college basketball. Ooh, that's a stinger. That is a stinger.
Damn.
What do you think about that? What do you think about that making history last night? Aren't you glad it wasn't us though? I mean, if you always want to see it. You want to see the 16 seed beat the 1 seed. We root for it every year. It's never happened until last night. And UVA, they're favored to be a Final Four team.
When was the last time we were even a 1 seed? You got to be a 1 seed for that to happen.
Yes,
so I'm not really too worried about that.
It's been a few years.
But I think, obviously, them losing DeAndre Hunter, he was the ACC Six-Man Player of the Year. And when I saw that he was out for the tournament for the rest of the season, I knew because he plays starter minutes, and they rely on him to come off the bench and score. So I knew that it was going to affect him, and I had him, maybe make. I think I had him losing the second round on one, going to the Sweet 16. But that was the farthest I had him going to the Sweet 16 because of that and the way that they play. But I had never thought that was going to happen to that team. So, but I can see how it did. Their pace of play. So they play slow, and if they're missing shots and another team gets hot, which is what happened, then the nerves start to come in.
They just took a beating, man, in UMBC.
I can only imagine the feeling of those players when they were down 14 with 8 minutes to go, 10 minutes to go, whatever. That's pressure because they know no one's dumb about it. Everybody knows that no one 16 has ever beaten a 1.
I know.
So imagine that pressure on those. Oh God!
I don't know. And in UVA's, they've clawed their way back a couple times this year.
Or even Tony Bennett on the sideline, didn't he look like he had nothing to say? Like he was in awe. He didn't. Like he was in a surreal moment. Like this isn't happening.
I know, and he was fantastic too in his postgame.
He's a stand-up guy.
Oh, big time. You gotta love him. At Jay Bren says, if Mark is not your favorite person, there's something wrong with you. I agree. Right now, I'm high on Mark. I love Mark, and he's only going to get better too. Eat some peanut butter and jelly sandwiches over the off season, and
Yeah, well,
we'll
he's
see
got
him
to
next year.
slow down because if he keeps playing like this, then he might go pro.
Oh, I don't know about that, bro. William says, I love being a Syracuse fan. Bring more madness, guys. Nobody wants to play our 2-3 defense right now. Go Orange. Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. I did see Michigan State fans in the crowd cheering for TCU.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
hey,
every time.
Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say that you could tell that there was fans in the crowd that they wanted to see TCU win because they'd rather see TCU than Syracuse because they know what kind of problem that brings.
Yeah, it changes the whole complexion of a game.
Whole complexion of the game.
So, what do you think the deal was with the arena being so empty during the SU game?
I don't know.
They usually travel really well, our fans, and I was a little surprised by that. I really was.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know exactly what arena they were playing or how big it was, or what the ticket prices are. So, but yeah, you are right. I mean, usually they do travel pretty well. Maybe the seats up close were just too expensive. Who knows? But and again too, I don't really know how big the TCU basketball fan, going from Texas all the way up to Detroit. So
yeah. Well, all right. That's it for fan feedback. If you want to get on Facebook.com/Cuse Nation Podcast, thumb us up there, or at Cuse Nation Show on Twitter. All right, Joe, next up for the Orange is 3-seed Michigan State, playing what equates basically to them as a home game. I think it's fair to say Syracuse probably has some fatigue setting in. We hit on that a little bit. A 1.5-day turnaround. 3 games in 5 days. What is it looking like?
It's looking scarier than it just gets scarier and scarier every time.
I know.
So, yeah, I mean, in my opinion, honestly, after I've gone back and looked at Michigan State, I don't really even know how they got a 3 seed. To me, it's kind of mind-boggling. But
you think they should be seeded higher?
I thought they should have been a 2 seed. Looking at it, I mean, they're 29-4 coming into the Selection Sunday to the NCAA tournament. They're 29-4. They lost to Michigan in the Big Ten tournament, but their 4 losses were Michigan twice, at Ohio State, and then Duke. I think on a neutral court in the non-conference. So, I mean, being 29-4 with that's just, to me, it's just kind of mind-boggling that they're a 3 seed. Ken Pom has them as the 6th best team with the 9th best adjusted offense and the 11th best adjusted defense. And right now, Michigan State's an 8-point favorite. And looking at just what they have, what scares me is, again, I look at their roster, and it's other than our 7-2 guy, they have pretty much the same kind of guys that we have. They are definitely better on defense than both TCU and Arizona State, and that's going to be another problem that they pose. But they start 4 sophomores and 1 freshman, so that's really the one thing that I think that we might be able to use to our advantage. Well, not use to our advantage, but just might help us. Is that I don't know, who knows how poised they are and experience-wise to be able to handle this 2-3 zone. They're led by 6'7" guard Miles Bridges. He averages 17 points a game, 7 rebounds. Pretty much our O'Shea Brissett. He was probably a little bit better last year as a freshman. There was talk about him going to the league, but he didn't. 6'8" forward Nick Ward, another sophomore. He averages 12.5 points and 7 rebounds. Their point guard, Cassius Winston, is 6-foot guard, another sophomore guard, 6'5", Josh Langford. He averages 12 points a game. He was their big scorer in the first round. He can shoot some threes. And their lone freshman, the guy that we're probably going to have to worry about most, is 6'11" freshman Jaren Jackson Jr. He averages 11 points and 6 rebounds. So as you can see, minus their 6-foot guard, they have equal looking height and size like that we have. And they definitely have the athleticism, and they also have a 6'4" guard, junior, McQuaid. He comes off the bench. He's one of their better three-point shooters. And they also have a 6'9" forward, senior, Gavin Schilling, that comes off the bench. So they got a little bit of experience that comes off the bench. They play about 10 guys. Their last game against Michigan in the Big Ten championship, they played 10 guys, at least 10 minutes. So he's definitely not afraid to plug in guys and sub guys out and keep them fresh. So
that's going to be a problem.
Yeah, 100% going to be a problem, and that's kind of what I'm worried about. Again, they have the height, they got the size, and we just got to hope that again, that 2-3 zone. It's happened before. There's been teams in the past where we might not have been as good as a Michigan State team that we've played in the tournament, and they can't handle our 2-3 zones. So we're just going to have to hope that's the case.
We need to produce some offense, and I really hope Tyus can do what he's done most of the year and lead this team offensively, and you still got to worry about Marek. So Marek. So
yeah, and that's the thing is it's going to take them. I mean, they're going to have to. I mean, this is the best team that we've played defensively in the tournament. So, and then it's been hard for us to score otherwise, So
yeah, that's yeah.
Hopefully, I mean they're gonna have to go hard, and hopefully they can be rested up enough. Again, it's their third game in 5 days, and
it's going to be the crowd could be very well be an issue too. I mean, I'm not.
Oh yeah, I mean you're talking about it's pretty much home court. I mean we'll have fans there, but
yeah,
it's going to be right. Again, it's going to be. We gotta hope that we can just keep it together, and we don't just we're going to keep trying. We're going to give it our all. But again, like you said, Chukwu doesn't look like a day of rest ain't going to do anything for him, and you can only hope that Battle and Howard step up because everyone else has kind of picked up on their slack to get to this point. And if they want to go any further, those guys are going to have to step up and do what they do.
And it's not that it's not for lack of effort either. It's just the shooting hasn't been there, man. I mean,
right?
Battles.
But when the shooting's not there, you gotta go to the hole.
Yeah,
they have their little floaters, they have little jumpers, and there's also you don't have to go to the hole to try to make every single shot. You can go to the hole, and if you go to the hole under control, do a little jump stop, pump fake, something like that, you can get some people in the air. You can get to the free throw line. If you can go to the lane controlled and smart.
And that was Brissett's game, during the regular season.
Right.
That was his. That was
right. And he started doing it a little bit yesterday. In the second half, he made like 3 straight really, really hard shots where I thought at least 2 of them should have been and ones. But either way, that's the kind of stuff that we're going to need because that's what they're going to do to us. And Frank Howard's going to have to do something. He's going to have to figure out how to use his 5-inch height difference that he's going to have on this Cassius Winston guy. And Merrick's going to have to do what he's did last game, and everyone's going to have to do better than what they did last game. I mean, I don't want to say Merrick has to do better than what he did last game, but everybody.
If he does what he did close to last game, and everybody else picks it up a notch, you got yourself a game.
That's what we need to beat a team like this.
Yeah, exactly. So, I'm not trying to be a Debbie Downer or anything, but no matter what happens in this game tomorrow, I am just ecstatic about this team and winning these 2 games. Going into the tournament, and you just can't say enough about Jim Boeheim. I know there are Jim Boeheim haters out there. I think he should retire, and you can basically shove it because there's not many coaches taking a team of this caliber with this kind of not this kind of bench, but lack of bench, and winning 2 NCAA tournament games after barely getting in, being the last team in.
Yeah,
I mean,
realistically, if you look at the logic, if you look at, how our offense is, how we're limited, the players that we have, the injuries that we have, the amount of minutes that these guys play, I think we shouldn't be playing still. So
no kidding.
Yeah, that's just what it is. We shouldn't have the record that we have. We shouldn't be playing still. And again, I think I'm pretty much piggybacking right off of what you say is that I am 100%. They overseeded they overexceeded my expectations for the season, especially when Torian Thompson left, and then when Geno Thorpe left. My expectations just kind of kept going down from there. So they definitely overexceeded my expectations. The fact that they could, just with their defensive play and their heart, keep games close enough and ugly enough to actually win. It's just
when it's so ugly, it's pretty. I mean,
yeah.
You know what I mean? We're just so used to seeing it.
It's like you should just get the job done. You know?
And going back, they could have very easily just lost the play-in game, and we would be miserable. And we'd be over it by now, but we'd be miserable and having to hear the BS. I cannot say enough. They deserve some.
No, it's like a boxer that knows he's not as talented. You got to just keep taking your lumps, and wait for your time, and
keep it close.
Keep it close to give you a punching chance at the end. That's all. That's all you want, and that's basically what we do.
And if they can do it against Michigan State, I would be shocked. It looks like we'll probably play Duke if Duke pulls out the win against Rhode Island. If we
at least you'd have a week of rest or 4 days or something, but
4.5
either
days.
day, either way, like that's all you can hope for. Is basketball is a game of runs, and we just can't get down too much. We can't just overexert ourselves and just waste all our energy in the beginning. We got to be smart. We got to stay out of foul trouble, and we just got to sit there and take their lumps when they give them to us, and wait for our opportunities to knock, and just keep it close. And hopefully at the end of the game, we're used to it now. Our team knows how to win at the end of games. We're not going to win them all, but we make a lot of clutch shots, and we play very well at the end of games, close games. Some teams and a lot of teams haven't really dealt with that.
Everybody has stepped up. Everybody has stepped up at the end of these games. Everybody. Chukwu hitting his foul shots. Moyer did what he did last night, although, whatever. He did it. They pulled it out. Tyus hit a big shot one game.
But not even just in the tournament. Throughout the season, pretty much.
Absolutely.
Everyone's had games where they've stepped up and they've played and probably been the reason why we won that game, because that's how bad our offense is, but that's how good our defense is to keep it close enough to win, so that you get a performance like Merrick, who comes out and he scores 17, and that's why you won the game, even though Battle and Howard only scored 7 and 7. So that's what we need. We just need to keep it close and hope for, like I said, a puncher's chance. Maybe we can get some of their better guys in foul trouble. Jaren Jackson and Miles Bridges are two bigger guys. Those are the guys that you got to worry about. Those are the most highly scouted NBA guys. But both these games, they're two blue blood school. I mean, even though we're only 11 seed coming off sanctions, these are two of the more highly rated, profile teams in the country, and there's going to be a lot of NBA bodies on that court on Sunday. So
yeah, exactly.
It's just, who's going to step up and make the plays,
Yep. All right. Well, I appreciate everybody tuning in again. If you like the show, please subscribe, share it, and word of mouth means everything to us. That's how we grow this podcast and social media. So we appreciate it. And that is it. We will get back here possibly Monday if we can. It's up to Joe. So I know his schedule's tight and all with his heavy social life and baseball or softball or whatever the hell you play. What are you playing, baseball or softball?
Softball.
Oh, jeez. Okay.
No, stop it.
All right. For Joe, I'm Sean. We're out. Later.
Peace.
You just heard the Cuse Nation podcast with Sean and Joe.